hopefully this is a semi-helpful overview of the cell. So there's two types of cells. There's the prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. And so let's look at the word etymology. In prokaryotes we have pro, and eukaryotes we have eu. So for pro, that's going to actually mean before. And so we say that because prokaryotes are more simple, and it's believed that they were before eukaryotes. So that eukaryotes they developed from prokaryotes. And because of that, they make up unicellular organisms, bacteria, and archaea, things that are more simple. So we can think of prokaryotes as like very old and primordial, very simple substances. And we can think of eukaryotes as more evolved and developed. So eukaryotes the U stands for true because they truly have a nucleus. And so they're more complicated. They have a nucleus and a membrane-bound organelles, which we're going to cover in a second. And they make up multicellular and unicellular organisms as well. So here, the prokaryotes make up generally unicellular organisms. And so the eukaryotes make up multicellular organisms. So a unicellular is a thing like bacteria. A multicellular is like a puppy. So, I mean, is it easier to build bacteria or a puppy? The answer is they're both extremely complicated, actually. So organelles. What is an organelle? We have the word organ, which actually means something like work or worker. And we have L, which is a suffix meaning little. So they're little workers. Just as pizza L's would be little pizzas, and umbrella L's are little umbrellas. So we have two cute little organelles here working. There's a mitochondria digging a shovel, and flagellum's not really doing much. Lazy is what I called it, but that's mean. So mitochondria, which is plural, you have a mitochondrion, is singular. So this is another organelle. So let's look at it. We got mito, which means thread, and chondri, which means granule. So they're thread granules. And that's basically when I guess someone looked at it, they thought that's what it looked like. For me, though, I see them as maize beans, right? Not amaze beans like these beans are amazing, but like rather a bean with a maize inside of it, because this is kind of what they look like. And so this name describes what it looks like, but not really what it does, I guess. So the function of a mitochondria, again, if you want to think of it as the thread granule, you can. I think amaze beans are better. You eat amaze beans for energy, right? When you have a bowl of amaze beans. Likewise, mitochondria produce ATP. And so ATP, which is adenotriphosphate, Google it if you don't know what it is, they transport chemical energy. So it's kind of like a currency. An energy currency is what they call it. But it's freaking amazing if you think about it. The ATP is produced in these little beans that are contained in a cell, in a eukaryotic cell. It's incredible. So this process is called the citric acid cycle. Because you can think about citrus and beans, because that's a great combination. You have a bowl of beans and orange juice. It's really good. So yeah, you have two mitochondria, and they're like, dude, my child. I think that says mama. And that's their little ATP child. And then Darth Vader, I have no idea why I drew him. Darth Vader is no point in this drawing here. He's just there. And so that like really distracted me. And so yeah, you can think about amaze beans as providing energy by making ATP through the citric acid cycle. And really think about how incredible this complicated process. You should search on Wikipedia the citric acid cycle, how complicated it is, and how amazing it is that this takes place in the mitochondria. Not in the whole cell, but in one tiny little part. It's fantastic. It's so beautiful. Okay, so the next organelle we're going to look at is the Golgi Apparatus and ER. I don't know why I didn't fully do that. Okay, so the ER boys, there's two kinds. There's the smooth ER boy, and then there's the rough ER boy. So the smooth ones, they see this pretty girl here who is a little bit shorter, and the smooth ones are like, hey, nice shoes. And she's like, wow, thanks, he noticed. And the rough one's like, nah, me think you're pretty. And so that's how you can remember them. Is that they're two brothers, but they're kind of different. And so they work in the protein factory. So their boss is the great Golgi, who looks like Gandalf a little bit. Okay, so they work for the great Golgi in the protein factory. Okay, so here's the simplified ER and Golgi kind of process. So the ER boys, they make a protein. You know, he's getting a bow. I realize this looks like he's throwing up, but he's going to put a bow on it. So the ER workers make a protein, and then they transport it. So the ER grunts bring their creation to the great Golgi. They transport it to the great Golgi, and then the great Golgi decides how and where the protein will go. So this is what the organelles do. The ER, this is the simplified version. The ER makes protein, and then the Golgi decides where it goes. Okay, and so the that's what that's what ER means, is endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi apparatus. So now here's a little bit more depth, I guess. So endo, that word means within, and plasmic refers to the inner cytoplasm, and this is opposed to ectoplasm, which refers to the outer cytoplasm. So that's where we get that name, is it's within the cytoplasm. And the Golgi is actually the last name of the guy who, I guess, discovered this. And so, yeah, that's how you can remember it, I guess. And the apparatus is like a complex structure. And so they're a team, and that's why I've grouped them together, is that the ER makes protein, and the Golgi kind of ships it out. And this is the worst ER ever. I recommend looking at pictures, because my art skills are quite limited. So now the cell membrane, this is not very an original analogy of mine, so but it's a good one. So a selectively permeable structure, which allows and disallows various ions and organic molecules, etc. So it's like being a gatekeeper, sort of. So you have to be a member to enter the membrane. And so, yeah, you can't, not all things go in or out of the cell membrane. And so that's what it does. That's what semi-permeable means, or selectively permeable means that it selects what comes in and out. And this is also incredible to think about. And the mechanics of it is remarkable. So now, maybe we think the Golgi, the great Golgi, is the greatest thing in the cell, but he's not. Even the great Golgi, he bows down to the nucleus, the great nucleus. So he reports to his superior, and the all-knowing bag of genetic material, so this all-knowing bag of genetic material is what we call the nucleus. And so it's a type of control center. So it really runs the cell. It's very important. So that's how you can remember the nucleus. Now some other organelles is like the flagellum. It's a whip-like structure found on some types of prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. And it works for propulsion, moving the cell around. So you can think of a flagellum as like, well, here's the flag flagellum. So it's a flagellum on a flagpole. And this guy's, I guess, saluting it, or he's like wondering what the heck that is. And then, this is like, I just threw this in last minute, vacuoles. Vacuoles get evacuated out of the cell in exocytosis. Or they're invacuated in endocytosis. Endo, again, meaning within. And then when you have that E through elision, we drop the X, and so it really means out. So when you think of exocytosis, you can think of that. But, yeah. So here's, I'm sorry, that was underprepared, that last one. So summary, there's two kinds of cells. There are prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Organelles are little workers. They're like little organs that have certain jobs. Then we have mitochondria, which are maize beans, which are, they produce ATP through the citric acid cycle. Then we have a cell membrane, which is a semi-permeable gatekeeper, which only lets in members. And then we have the nucleus, which is a powerful bag of genetic material and control center. I also forgot Golgi. So Golgi is the thing that helps ship out the protein that I also forgot the ER. Crap. Okay, so we know that the ER makes protein, and then the Golgi sends where to ship it out. The nucleus is really the control center of the cell, to even which the Golgi himself bows down to. And then we have flagellum and vacuoles. And flagellum being a form of propulsion for the cell, and then vacuoles being kind of a pod that gets evacuated or invacuated in the cell. So hopefully this was helpful. I know it's kind of fast. This just is a kind of a review and hopefully not a lesson for the first time. So thank you.